Hello and welcome to the Warhammer Meta Chasers. This is your weekly tournament rundown show, getting ready for the biggest and best tournaments happening over the course of the weekend for Warhammer 40,000. My name is Paul, your host. I'm joined by Adam Camilleri.
Good eye.
And Dustin Henshaw.
Hello, hello, hello.
Like I said, we do this live. We have a wonderful chat community. If you're listening to us after the fact on the podcast aggregators, come and check us out Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. It's a cool place to hang out, listen to the tournament stuff, paint stuff, participate in chat, all the cool stuff. We have two great events to talk about this week. Also an event shout out in Malta.
Yes. I'll let you have a go pronouncing where it is.
It's obviously Zajun Malta, the Malta GT,
Yeah,
12
that's good
players,
enough.
5 rounds, 2 golden tickets up for grabs. I actually know someone that lives in Malta. Like
Really?
he's like a game producer and everything too. Yeah, look, I'll call him and see if he knows these folks tomorrow morning.
Maybe he's playing in the event.
He might be.
I think it's Zaytun. Like Zaytun.
The J's probably
know what I said?
in there. Like,
Yeah, that's pretty close to what you said. Yeah. I just had to Google it because
okay.
even though it is technically a second language for me, it hasn't been for many a decade.
Really?
We only look forward, never back, unless you're a Patreon subscriber, and then we do go back and count.
Go back all the way.
More about that later. But Malta is like a hotbed of like stuff I've heard going on. But anyway, let's talk about the main part of the show. It's cool to see Warhammer 40,000 springing up in places that we had not seen it before, and also it would be awesome for those folks that may win and come to Atlanta for the finale, the World Championships of Warhammer. Sounds like those golden tickets are going to be hotly contested over that 5-round event with 12 players. Think about the rivalries that can be born and solved all through the course of that weekend.
Well, having looked quickly at their packet, it's going to be 1 for best general, 1 for best overall. So, yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, two out of 12, that's some good odds. I mean, I'd catch a boat for that.
The main body of the show we're going to be covering is the roll for damage in the L bunker in the Bajio Open. I'm almost pretty sure I got that one too.
Okay,
but we'll see when he comes on the screen. Please, Steve, if you're in the chat, correct me.
Yeah. So we have one of our beautiful patrons and longstanding members of our community, Artemis Steve, who we believe is currently residing in the great nation of Mexico. And I hit him up, check your DMs, mate, on Discord. I was like, give me some insights into this bad boy, especially if you're going. And I found one player named Steve in the event, and I'm just taking a punt that it's him because we're doing his list breakdown.
Well, we'll start with the roll for damage. It's in Adelaide, South Australia, which, if you couldn't have guessed, is in Australia. It is a 97-player event going over the course of 6 rounds.
For
what are we going to see there?
The stats there, we're going to be looking at 5 Sister Battle, 3 Custodes, 2 Admech, 6 Astro Militarum, 2 Grey Knights, and 4 Imperial Knights.
Well, sorry, Steve has said that we're not close.
We're not even close. So
I'll try it again when we get there. I'll try it again.
Nice
Sorry,
try.
I didn't want to jump in.
Nice try. Space Marines, there's 4 Astartes, 9 Dark Angels, 2 Space Wolves, 4 Blood Angels, and 3 Black Templar. Chaos, there's 6 Chaos Space Marines, 4 T-Suns, 4 Death Guards, 6 World Leaders, 5 Demons, and 3 Chaos Knights. Xenos, there's 4 Necrons, 4 Orcs, 5 Tau, and 3 Votan. This is looking incredible. Hive Mind, there's 4 Tyranids, 2 G-Sealer Cult. Aeldari, there's 1 Drukhari, 2 Aeldari, meaning the faction podium is Dark Angels, topping it off with 9. And then Astro Militarum, Chaos Space Marines, and World Leaders tied in the second with 6. And then Tau, Demons, and Sororitas with 5. That is ridiculously good.
Just those filthy Dark Angels with all their Deathwing Knights ruining the faction spread for everybody.
How many John Lennon lists are there?
Most of them.
Yeah, 6,
I
7.
didn't. I looked at like half of them, and then mostly.
That's
what
7
you would expect.
Factions. That is what is that? That's third of the factions.
Yeah, and I mean, if we go down to the ones that have 4 representation, that's another like 5 or 6. Nope, 7 factions. Like that spread is incredible. That's
legitimately outside Dark Angels being a bit of an aberration. This spread is delicious. It is fantastic. And yeah, great, a bunch of differentiation. Like there's no homogenous style of list that's in second or third. Like it's not all shooting armies, it's not all melee armies, because you got Astra Militarum and World Eaters in the same line, and then you got Tau, Demons, and Sisters in the same line. So they're all it's just a great balanced event.
Yeah, that's the kind of event you want to go to. That's amazing. Southern Australia, you did it right.
Yeah, definitely doing it right. Apart from all you filthy Dark Angels players, which I would most likely be
we don't
playing
talk
if I
about
was
them,
there
though.
too.
I was actually going to blame you. You know,
yeah, I know what that's fair.
Do not blame me. Blame John Lennon going undefeated with that list
But
for
you're
like 3
undefeated
events
too.
straight.
Remember we talked
One
about
of
this.
those being, yeah, I'm undefeated over like 9 games. He's
Sounds
undefeated over like
to me.
29 games. Yeah. What I'm
That's
saying
really-
is don't blame me.
And that's Gladius, right? That's going to be a Gladius.
Yeah, Gladius, Gladius Task Force. And yeah, it's just so strong and well-rounded at the moment in singles play. It's really, really, really impressive.
That's very. You pulled out a couple of lists.
I did. I pulled out the 2 top listed players in the ITC in attendance naturally towards the pointy end of the season, which we are definitely getting towards in September. In our run for these players, it'll be Uprising. In the last weekend of January will be the end of the capstone of the season for them. So definitely 4 months and counting, under 4 months, give or take. And so yeah,
and a couple of those months are kind of like almost like write-offs for some people because as the holidays stack up,
December,
and so like this is the action time. This may be like right before the wave breaks.
So the 2 top players in attendance, we go first off the top is Josh Pope. He is ranked 4th in the South Pacific in the ITC. He's got Thousand Suns, Cult of Magic, and it is the core of Thousand Suns lists has been the same for an easy 3 months. They're pretty much the injection of the Vortex Beasts being in every list, but he is taking less Vortex Beasts than we usually see. We usually see
50%
on average.
50% less.
Yeah. He's got Magnus Armin on disc, an Exalted Sorcerer on disc with Lord of Forbidden Law, 3 Infernal Masters, one of which has the Unprolific Crystal, no Arcane Vortex, which is quite surprising. And then he has 2x10 and 2x5 rubrics. So I'm not surprised to sometimes see 1 unit of 10 rubrics, but seeing 2x10 is actually surprising to see two big bricks. And then we've got 10 Zangors, a single Vortex Beast, 10 Cultists, and 2x3 Enlightened. Looking at the faction breakdown, lads, why would you, if you can, why would you want 2x10 bricks in this of rubrics rather than usually 1x5 or no by 5 and you take more Vortex Beasts and bits and pieces?
I wish I could tell you for sure. Armon on disc can still join them, or he can't because he's on the disc?
I believe he can.
Can he? Okay, well then
I believe he can.
He likes to join one of them for the +1 to wound on them. That's always
juicy. Yeah. I assume Unbelief Crystal goes on one, Ironman likely goes on the other one. Yeah, that was my off the cuff. We have had a request by KR to get a Custodes list breakdown, which I may be able to do off the cuff while I buy time chatting about nonsense right now. But looking at so Dark Angels are very good at killing Vortex Beasts. Astra Militarum, very good at killing Vortex Beasts. Hell, Chaos Space Marines that they bring Vindicators, very good at killing Vortex Beasts. In addition to Tau, don't struggle too much, and neither do Sisters. So I see that as a decent reason to not bring the 2 or at times 3 that we see in other places. Would you guys agree?
Well, I mean, also the response to like the Space Marines that are really good at taking people off objectives and then claiming them. It's really hard to get through the rubrics, and the rubrics, I think, they even fight better on the objectives as well, so they can maybe trade into those types of things.
Yeah, they do fight a lot better on objectives. 10 rubrics with an attached character will easily clear just about any unit of Sisters off an objective. And also they have a very good Overwatch threat into Sisters as well, and into Demons, and into Tau, and into Astra Militarum for the most part, unless it's a vehicle. But yeah, I don't mind the 2x10. It's just I'm trying to figure out the meta reason for it in my brains.
I think the extra boots on the ground for those grindy games, for the one game where you're trying to raise some banners and stuff. I also just confirmed that Airmen on the disc can still join Rubric Marines, so that is, y'all are correct on that. But I do think that you are probably dead on with the fact that the Vortex Beast is just kind of like sweet meat. Some of the lists that you're starting to see now churn up, and look at that. Even look at the tier for the meta. It's like Astra Militarum, Tau. Those are all things that are there and present. And when you make your opponent's choices for them, you've put something out there they can shoot, they will shoot it, especially in the early rounds where it's the only option. So
Correct.
now
Yeah,
it's
exactly right.
diversified a little bit of those points into what will inevitably turn into battle points, which is how you win the tournament.
I have off the cuff picked out a Custodes list of Daniel Ogden only because his name for his club in BCP is Veterans of the Short to Medium War. And I'm like, okay, done.
I like it. Get your business done and get on with it.
Who wants to be in a long war, right?
Time for a long war anymore. Come on.
Too distracted.
He's got a shield host of Custodes, 2 blade champions, and then a shield captain from the Hall of Armories. 2x4 Custody guard, one of which will be getting Karia Draxus, who's at the end of this list. A single big unit of Alaris Custodians. That's 5 Alaris in a brick, but no character to join them. 2x5 wardens, each one will get 2x5 wardens, each one will get a blade champion. 2x3 Venatari, and that rounds out the list with Karia Draxus. So it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just 7 units of Custodes for you to chew. I mean, and we on part 2 this week, we went over another Custodes list. And we talked about because Custodes won a GT last week in China. They won they won the 50-player GT in China. It was won by Custodes, which Dustin and I unpacked on part 2. You can go find it on the Patreon.
Yeah, we did.
And the issue we're seeing a lot of this with Custodes list. The Caladius, the Caladius grav tanks are dropping off. People are not taking them, and we want to know why. Like, we want to know what has happened to make the Caladius unattractive, because we're seeing everyone
punch anymore.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of the time you're taking the Caladius so that you don't have the transport issue. But then if you pull out a Caladius to kill a transport and it dies, that's just like the worst trade ever.
And the terrain style, like if you're playing the GW Open Series terrain style, like those things that you have only a single use of shooting all the way across the table are not as always effective as you might like. Like you may, those couple of turns of staging may make you feel like you're getting less use out of a tool like that, which may have generals opting for different things they feel like they can get the full game experience out of. Maybe.
Yeah, I agree with that. And like a Caladius is 215 points. So unless it's shooting at a repulsor that has eradicators in it or something, it's not. If it's a one use tank, it's not getting it anywhere near its value back. And then, likely if they have one transport, they usually have like 2, 3, 4, Sagittars and Votan have like 6 transports when you count the Hecatons. And a Caladius grav tank, odds on doesn't pop a Hecaton in one shot. It can, absolutely can. But, between Void Armor and a couple of other things, it gets a bit iffy. So I like dropping the Caladiuses, but man, the list looks weird without them. Like I think about playing guard into Custodes, and I've got like just 3 Chimeras. I'm like, this is just a problem. This is just a big problem for you. But yeah, there is a Custodes list just for UKR, just for you. All right, on to
I don't know. I think the more boots on the ground are actually probably a good thing.
I tend to agree. When I look how the game is being played right now, I think it's correct. I don't think there's a Custodes list you can build that beats stuff like Sisters, can have like 3 Immolators, a bunch of Castigators. I don't think you can build one that beats Sisters, so I don't think you should try. I think you should just try and make sure the points scoring is as even as possible, and you have as many, like you said, boots on the ground.
And it feels, but when you're trying to complete a secondary by, this thing could have had a one shot, but now it's got to go over here and do this other thing. You just there's like a morale drain. You got to battle that over the course of a 9-round, 6-round, 7-round event.
All right. Next up, we have Ben Wan, who's ranked 5th in the ITC South Pacific, playing Aeldari. Farseer Skyrunner, of course, it's a battle host. With the Farseer Skyrunner has the Phoenix Gem, Illic Knightspear, the Vizark, and Yvraine. 10 Guardians, 5 Rangers, 3 Shroud Runners, a big unit of 12 troop to, of course, go with Yvraine. We've got Lilith, and Lilith will be attached to 10 Witches. And then we have 2 Warwalkers, 2 Beast Packs, 2x5 Mandrakes, and 3x5 Scourges. Now, funny that all the things we just said about transports, and then a list that would not, usually would not surprise to sometimes see a couple of, a Raider for Lilith to go in, or a couple of Venoms to tote around some bits and pieces, but absolutely sans transports here. Hell, sometimes even a Falcon we'll see in some of these lists.
I love that this list barely even fit on the slide. Like,
you had to make the fonts smaller. Like A lot.
I had to shrink this right down because there is a lot of list in this list. But you will notice there's no hawks, there's no spiders, there's a lot of usual takes here that aren't being taken because I think we're starting to see the seesaw. We're starting to see the seesaw flip back, and I think people are starting to value the Drukhari units over the Aeldari units.
Well, the Mandrake, Scourges, and Beast Packs, like those three alone, are just worth their weight in gold.
They give you the beast packs for control, the mandrakes for scoring, and the scourges for popping for damage. And when you look at the takes you can get from Aeldari to do similar things, I mean, also he's got the wall walkers with bright lances to help with popping transports and things like that as well. But you don't get anywhere near as much control with the Aeldari units, outside doing things with what you can do with beast packs with warp spiders, which aren't as effective. They aren't anywhere near as durable, and they kind of aren't as fast sometimes.
They're pretty expensive too. Like, let's be real. Warp
and
actually
exactly right.
Pretty high in points now.
Yeah. So no spiders, no hawks, which would be the things you could take to do stuff like what the mandrakes do. Swooping hawks and mandrakes are virtually interchangeable with their uppy downy abilities. So there's nothing that Aeldari has that do what scourges do. The only unit that has a similar output as, I suppose, Dark Reapers, but they don't have shoot and scoot. Or you have fire dragons, but they need to get too close to be safe. So scourges are just better than anything in the Aeldari, the craft world side of Aeldari. And for melee, like, you just have these two beautiful packs. Like, I mean, 10 Witches is just a delivery system for Lilith, and the troop with Yvraine is actually a really good multimodal unit.
Are we sure the Vizark's not going with the troop to get the fights first ability?
Yeah, can you do both? Can someone in chat can you confirm? Can you put the Vizark and Yvraine in the troop? Because that would be sick.
I don't know that you
can. I'm near positive you can, because I'm pretty sure
here we go. So you can attach the unit to one of the above units, even if Yvraine has already been attached to it. So yes, you can. Look at that.
Nice baby Death Star. Good spot there by Paul. Little baby Death Star of troop there. That's actually really deadly with them having fights first. I mean, outside things with armor contempt and, like, I'll say it again, Deathwing Knights, that unit pretty much goes through just about everything else.
I've seen the Vizark pop up in a lot of lists, and it kind of makes me go, I don't know. But in this list, I think it really, really does work. Like, this is probably the best inclusion of the Vizark I think we've seen this season.
Yeah, I agree. And having a little bit of fights first goes a long way in the current meta. Like, fights first is just such a premium ability.
Well, especially
I love the balance. Yeah, spot on. I love the balance of this army. The double Farseer, I'm not quite sure why he's got two, but I'm sure there's a plan there. Of course, Illic goes with the 5 Rangers. It just makes a nice little loan-up package. And yeah, the rest of the list is just a lot of stuff that makes sense to me, especially when we see the tilt of the points. What you get for the points from Aeldari to Drukhari is starting to tip more to the Drukhari favor. But yeah, time to pick some winners, my gents.
I do like it in the chat. So Dorian, I think, is pointing out that there's kind of like a shift towards more Drukhari units away from Aeldari units, and that's I think you were pointing that out as well. It's like when you look at some of the utility and after some of the point changes that the Aeldari have had, then you do start to consider the Drukhari.
You do have access to a whole other codex, so I mean, when it becomes worth it, you just pivot.
Yeah.
Seeing as this is my backyard and I know like 3/4 of the players, I will pick last for this one. Paul, you want to reel us off first?
So this is the part in the show where we pick a faction or a player we think is going to win the event. And then in the part 2, we do a part 2 for Patreon subscribers of tier 2 and above, to where we actually look back at the events we cover for next week. So we'll do a show. You get to listen to it on Patreon where you can go back and hear us review how we did, but we also score each other some points and take jabs at each other. It's actually
a good time. Yeah. In addition, we give full breakdowns of what made the podium, what factions were in the top 10, and of course we unpack one of those lists. And in times gone by when it's just when we had Necrons on top of every podium, we do look for the spicy list to unpack, and hopefully giving people inspiration and into counter metas and things like that, and different iterations on top lists. So a lot of special analysis there on part 2.
But lately, we haven't needed to go that deep because the ones that have been winning at podium has been spicy.
It's been a lot of fun.
It's
been a lot of fun. Yeah. Paul, what would you like, mate? Now that you've treaded water.
I already had a big. I got to go just for sheer weight of numbers and recent success with the
already typed them in.
Why did you even
Dustin? Dustin, what would you like?
I'll take the T-Suns.
Yeah, I think that's.
That's solid.
And I'm just gonna back Sorotis.
It got pointed out in chat too that the rubrics do better when you're for objective they don't control. So yeah, I think you got to do
Right.
that. So
Yeah.
I really think that list above that has like the number of a lot of lists out there. But sometimes with the way matchups work, you just never get in that right situation, the mission or whatever. I think the resiliency of the Dark Angel is going to take the day.
All right.
We shall see. Next of it, we're going to be cover. Oh, here we go. The El Bunker and the Bajio.
I thought
Bajio Open.
Or is it Bajio?
That's what I tried the first time, isn't it?
I don't know. Yeah, I think so.
Steve, let me know.
Steve, help us out here, man. Help us out.
Spell it phonetically in the chat, please.
Yeah.
That is in
phonetically in the chat, please.
Mexico. Querétaro, Mexico. 77 players, 6-round event. We've been kind of covering that scene since we've been doing this on Thursdays for now a while, and it's so cool to see that continue to grow.
If anybody is annoyed that the font on our faction breakdown got smaller, blame Imperial Agent players.
Yeah, that's.
I had to resize the whole thing. I had it cherry ripe, I had it plum, and now it's all gone to hell. So
it's another faction.
If you have to squint at it, it's because Imperial Agents joined.
So we have to ask for patience and understanding with our pronunciation, and now our font on screens.
All right. Well, speaking of which, let's talk about who's actually going to be showing up there. And there are 2 pure Imperial Agents players. There are 5 Sisters of Battle, 2 Custodes, 1 Admech, 9 Astra Militarum, 2 Grey Knights, 1 Imperial Knight, Space Marines with 3 Adeptus Astartes, 3 Dark Angels, 3 Space Wolves, 7 Blood Angels, 2 Black Templar. Chaos, there's 5 Chaos Space Marines, no T-Suns. Wow. Okay.
I had to leave that in because that's an aberration.
That definitely is an aberration. 4 Death Guard, 3 World Eaters, 2 Demons, and 1 Chaos Knight. Xenos, there's 2 Necrons, 3 Orcs, 3 Tau, 2 Votan. Highband, there's 7 Tyranids and 1 Gene Stealer Cult. Aeldari, there's 3 Drukhari and 2 Aeldari, meaning the faction podium is Astra Militarum, pulling up the gold spot this time with 9. Blood Angels and Tyranids tied in second with 7, and then Sisters and Chaos Space Marines, very tight third with 5. That's an interesting podium. Astra Militarum, the top of Mexico there.
Yeah. Yep. So this is the region that this is in is, I believe, south of Mexico City. So it's in a province that's to the south of central Mexico. But
Dorian's saying 3 hours.
3 hours outside?
Yeah. We get to say now that the Mexican Peninsula and Texas are treadheads because it's the same flavor. South of the border is the same flavor as the Texas meta, which is, I'm not sure people in Mexico will be happy for me to say that. I'm not quite sure. I don't know the nuance of those relationships, but it is quite interesting to see the correlations between, just between, one over one side of the border and the other, because treadheads, man. Just the tread heads, Astra Militarum, very strong in both regions.
Hey, I like seeing the amount of Tyranids that are down there, though, because that's actually an aberration from Texas, the Texas meta. There's not that many Tyranid players there.
Yeah. Apologies, it's north of Mexico City.
North of Mexico. Okay, so yeah, even closer then. Right.
Geography is not our strongest asset.
It's yours.
It's yours.
If it's in carrier pigeon, if it's in carrier pigeon miles. All right. How far south of the border is this, Paul? Like how many miles?
Miles? Let's see. From the border?
Well, would it be better if it was kilometers?
No, I mean,
he doesn't know what that is.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
I'm going to say 473 miles.
473. Okay.
Is it?
Oh.
Somebody knows where it is.
Somebody knows.
Distance.
Maybe not Google.
Google's taking some time.
Oh, so there's some other folks in Mexico.
What's the closest? What's the closest town to the border? Let's go Loreto. Oh no, Reynosa.
There are definitely some towns that are right on the border.
Yeah.
This is great radio, by the way.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
Absolutely right. What was your guess, mate?
473 miles.
So it's 853 kilometers. 853 km to miles.
Oh, that is less. They're less than a mile.
That's actually
I
wow.
think 60 miles off is good. An hour, whatever.
Pretty good. It's pretty good.
Wow, that's true. He really is a savant with this. This is crazy.
Yeah. Apologies for the dead air. We have a couple of lists to unpack here. In addition to, I did a full Astra Militarum breakdown. Like, so I looked at all 9 lists and broke down and counted out every single instance of unit.
Would.
I did look at that list. I'm like, that is a lot of lists.
That's
a
like,
lot of
is this an apocalypse tournament?
14 Rogel Dawns.
What?
Who's letting him get away with this? But the beautiful Steve Collins, who is a member of our Patreon and is one of the fantastic members of our community, is always positive and wonderful, is bringing Tau Empire. So we're going to unpack his list. He's got a Retaliation Cadre. Starts off with Commander Farsight and Darkstrider, 2 Cold Star commanders and an Enforcer commander with Starflare ignition system. 30 Pathfinders, so a lot of Pathfinders. That's like at least 10, if not 20 more than we usually see. The usual 3x3 stealth suits, because you'd be crazy not to take them. 2x3 Fire Knife Crisis teams. These are the missile suits. 3 Star Size suits, these are the burst cannons, and 3 fusion suits, which are the Sunforged. I'm assuming the fusions are going to be going with Farsight. Steve can correct me if I'm wrong. And then each of the others, because I noticed the Cold Star commanders are all equipped with missiles as well, so I'll go with the Fire Knife suits. And then the burst cannons with the Enforcer in reserve for some uppy-downy goodness. That's what the Starflare does for you. And then we have a single Ghost Keel, because why wouldn't you not take a single
Ghost
Hammerhead?
Keel's great.
Ghost Keel is fantastic. A single Hammerhead that does have a railgun, because I'm assuming Steve's also aware the transports exist. 2 single Piranhas and a single Skyray, which I actually really quite love. I love the single Ghost Keel, single Hammerhead, single Skyray. And those are the points you'd usually see taken in Riptides. But I actually like this much better. It's got 4 units of pretty premium, when all the loadouts and all the buffs are putting on it, 4 units of premium suits for different occasions. The only one you could see is switching the burst cannon suits for flamer suits. But I think burst cannons are probably better in a lot of situations, especially with hordes starting to come a little bit more into the game. I'd much rather have the bursts, because they get to stay out of range of things like surge moves of a cursed cultist off the deep strike and stuff like
Gretchen. That. Not that anybody took that last.
That was a list. Yeah, that was a list we unpacked. What do you guys think of this list?
Still give a bonus to like fly units.
Yeah, I think it's like +1 to hit against fly or something.
I think it just gets 1 reroll to hit on its guns. I'll let you know in 1 sec.
Still worth it. I mean, fly is really popular keyword right now, even if it's just like incidentally.
Yeah. So both. You guys were all both correct. So 4 rerolls to hit against fly units. And then each time this unit is selected to shoot, you can reroll 1 hit roll, or you can reroll 1 wound roll when resolving its attacks. And of course, the Seeker missile rack being 3 shots twin linked, you're almost always going to use that on a hit roll, because they're strength 14 -3, with a las cannon profile of damage d6 +1. Extremely good. I quite rate the Sky Rays at the moment. I think they're quite good for 140 points.
Wow, that's actually really good value for those points.
I think all the bases are covered. Cold Star commanders we know are great. I mean, like Farsight, the Ghost Keel, the Skyray, a lot of ways to interact with the objectives that you don't mind losing if you need to. So love it. There's a lot of options here from this list.
Pathfinders and stealth suits give you full utility. Everything's going to be marker lighted. Like everything you shoot at is going to have a marker light, because you've got 4, 5, 6 units to marker light every turn, and the Pathfinders do double duty. So essentially, just the Pathfinders can marker light all of it, and then the stealth suits, of course, going to give you marker lights and rerolls. This is I like this build. This is a good build, Steve.
You can keep stuff off the table too, and then bring it down right. Tactically deploy it where you need it, and keep your opponent guessing for the first couple of rounds. Should do pretty well.
And a lot of people will look at this list and be like, oh, well, it's not going to have actually much starting on the table, because if you put all the crisis suits in reserve, all you have to worry about, like if I go first into this list and all the crisis suits are off the table, I'm just going to push on it, because it's going to have 1 Ghost Keel, 1 Hammerhead, 1 Skyray to threaten me for 2 turns until it can arrive. So, but what this list is doing differently, it's got the 2 missile suit units. And in games where you wrote out being pressured, you just have them starting on the table. You just start, your big missile broadsides on the table, because they essentially are like a unit or 2 broadsides that are more maneuverable when you add in the commanders. And I think they're sick. I think the missile sides are really good.
Yeah, nice list.
Great list.
We approve.
All right, this next one is going to take some unpacking. This is Isaac Gutierrez playing Imperial freaking agents. First time we've unpacked this on the show. I have my Imperial Agents Codex open and ready to go. He's got an Imperialis fleet detachment. Has an Inquisitor, a Rogue Trader entourage with Fleetmaster, 2 Watchmasters, one of which has Clandestine Operator, which is actually a busted enhancement. 2 Calidus, sorry, Cal Assassin and Eversor Assassin, Canis freaking Rex, because you can do that. 2x10 Deathwatch kill teams, 10 Navy Breaches, 6 Voidsmen. I actually really like the Navy Breaches. I think they're very good.
Yeah.
5 Grey Knight Terminators, 10 Battle Sisters, and 2 Rhinos for all the bits and pieces.
So I just want to point out the thing that GW said at the beginning of this edition of we're going to limit soup. And then look at this list.
Here, how many factions we got listed here?
Look, you don't get all the detachment rules. You get different stuff.
Well, so the detachment rule for this one is at all costs. So you have 2 options. At study command phase, you can choose one of the following to apply. Until the start of your next command phase, each time an agent of the Imperial model from your army makes an attack that targets the enemy unit that you select, your whole army gets +1 to hit against them, which is sick.
Wow.
Well, everything except Canis Rex in this army. And then acquire at all costs is you choose an objective and you get +1 OC and +1 leadership and a 5-up invulnerable save on that objective. It's sick. It's really good. Like that is really, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the units that you have that are available to you in Imperial agents are like S tier amazing or anything like that. But this detachment, just the detachment rule is extremely strong.
Mm-hmm. Well, especially with the 10 Deathwatch kill teams, like those are actually pretty good to hold those objectives and even take them.
Absolutely. Yeah, OC. Are they OC2 base? I'll check in a minute, but they could be going to OC3 with a 5-up invul, and that's really nice. Clandestine Operation, which is the... Oh, sorry, I had a Clandestine Operator for some reason. Is... At the start of the declare battle formation step, you can select up to 3 agents of the Imperium infantry units from your army. They infiltrate. 3 infiltrating units. And I'm assuming it's... Okay. Yeah, sorry, you go.
No, that was just from 1 enhancement?
From 1 enhancement, dude.
That's crazy. 3
infiltrating units of infantry. So, of course, it's going to be the kill teams. Yeah. And I would suspect it's likely to be the Voidsmen, because I'm assuming you want to play a little slower with the breaches, and you just want to be able to slam the Voidsmen on an objective early, similar to Scouts. And then, just putting those kill teams in threatening positions is fantastic. And then you just have the bowling ball of Canis Rex added into this pile.
Does he get the Imperial Agents keywords?
Oh God!
No, I don't believe he does. The other one is Fleetmaster, which is on his Rogue Trader entourage. Once per battle round, you can target the bearer's unit with the Violent Acquisition. It's just a kill more better stratagem. Masters of the Void or Close Quarters Barrage for a 0 CP. So it is pretty much a captain, Space Marine captain ability on an enhancement. It's pretty good. I actually really like this list. It's going to take. I would sit here for like 3 hours just trying to unpack all these bits and pieces because there is a lot going on here. But on face value, you go.
I do believe they can be a little modular with their assassins too. But the Eversor, I think the Eversor assassin is going to be in a lot of lists. A lot of lists. And so if you see one in your opponent's list, ask, hey, what's that do? Because you are going to want to avoid it.
Yes, agreed. So just looking at the Imperial Navy breaches, so they're toughness 3 with a 4-up save. They're OC2, but then they have a bunch of special rules. So breaching team, and I'm assuming you can't take all these at the same time, but they have. So this is the one they always get. Each time they make an attack reroll or wound roll of 1. If you're on an objective, full rerolls to wound, which is cool. They can be equipped with a chain fist, some power weapons and bits and pieces. And then once per battle, when you select this unit as the target of a grenade stratagem, you can target 1 enemy unit visible within 18 rather than 8 inches. So once per game, 18 inches.
Long arm.
Yep. Once per battle, this unit can select to shoot at the end of the phase. Sorry, when this unit is selected to shoot at the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by model the unit gain ignore cover. So once per game, ignore cover. And then you can have dudes with 4-up invulnerable saves in the unit. You can do all sorts of stuff. But just 10 dudes that can have OC3 and then the whole unit can have a 5-up invulnerable save is really nice. Like I actually really rate breaches. I think they're really good.
Wow.
And that is where
I really can't wait to see how this does, by the way, because I love the look of all these units. Like I really love, like in Warhammer 40K, I love when it's all the little techno humans and that kind of stuff, the weird half cyborg things or whatever. I think it's real cool to see that on the table. So I hope this list does really well.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I hope it didn't be Steve. Steve needs to start his list.
Kill it, Steve.
But other than that,
The Rogue Trader entourage works like a Astra Militarum command squad, so you can attach it to either the Breaches or the Voidsmen in this list. So there's a little bit of duality there at the start of the game. You can choose where you want it to go. But I assume if it attaches to the Voidsmen, they'll be going in one of the Rhinos. Because they'll fit just perfectly in that Rhino, possibly with an Inquisitor in tow also, and make a nice little package unit. But let's get into the Astra Militarum breakdown. All 9 lists.
I see that comment, Flux. This list does need theme music. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So I cut a couple of things because there was like a single Commissar in here. There was a single, Armored Sentinel, the single Basilisk. I cut those things. So anything
I love your discipline to self-edit and still bring us all these.
It didn't fit on the screen, Paul.
Make it smaller font. You can read it.
I wanted it. I had to create another column. I had to, whatever. It was work. So off the cuff, all 9 players took Lord Solar. He is absolute all attack. No shockers there. We've got only a single Ursula Creed, 5 Scion command squads, 6 platoon command squads, 2 Cadian command squads, 5 tank commanders, 5 Gaunt's Ghosts. So these are over half lists, of course, in the 5 range. 3 Engine Seers. 2 of them are in one list. There's only 2 lists with Engine Seers, and you can assume those are lists with Rogue Dawns. 14 units of Catachans, 7 units of Cadians. Cadians very much on the rise. The sticky ability is coming up a premium at the moment, so the Cadians are definitely getting taken quite a bit more. 4 units of Death Corps. No 20s of Death Corps, which is a little surprise. I'm toying with taking some 20-man Death Corps units. 4x10 regular infantry. 16 Chimeras. Someone do the math. That's 2 point something in each list. It's 1 point something in each list. 14x6 and 1x3 Bulgrin. There are so many Bulgrin in this.
It's not as many
only
as I was expecting, to be honest.
Well, there was a couple of lists that had 0, and then most lists had 2 units of 6, if not more.
6. Wow, cool.
Yeah. 5 Hellhounds, 3 Lehman Russ Exterminators, 6 Lehman Russ Demolishers, 3 Lehman Russ Vanquishers, 2 Lehman Russ Battle Tanks, 14 Rogel Dawns, 6x10, and then 7x5 Scions, 2 units of Rattlings. I'm surprised not seeing more Rattlings, and 7 individual Scout Sentinels. So no multi
Vanquishers. Really? People rating Vanquishers.
The cheapest, 145 points for a Lehman Russ chassis. You're not looking at it for the cannon. Right. You're like 175 points for a las cannon and 2 multi-melters. Who cares about the cannon on top? Yeah.
Okay.
The Dawns. There's so many Dawns. So many Dawns. And the reason that there are so many Lehman Russes is I believe there's 2 lists that don't have any Dawns and they have like 4 or 5 Russes.
2
instead.
extra Lehman Russes. Yeah,
correct. Yeah. Exactly right, brother.
And that's the old style. So I should say old style. That was the point until recently. So the Dorns, I think, came down in points a little bit. So they're looking a lot more attractive for what they are. And I agree. I think the Dorns are in a nice spot right now.
Yeah, totally agree. It's a Land Raider that shoots twice as hard as a Land Raider from further away, and it's fantastic. It's 1.5 Lehman Russes together, but is less than twice the cost. But less than that points would be. So they're just extremely good buy at the moment, and more.
And those tank commanders, sorry to jump back, are those all demolishers, or people start
every single one?
Up a little bit.
Every single one. Yeah. Prior to the choices. Yeah. Prior to the Dawns dropping in points, I was playing double tank commander, double Lehman Russ Demolisher, Exterminator, and then some Hellhounds. And now I've dropped pretty much all bar the tank commanders for Dawns most of the time. They're just that good. I'm surprised to not see more Rattlings. I think Rattlings are very powerful at the moment for exactly the same reason that Jaegers are powerful for Votan. Just not getting put in jail turn 1 by a multitude of different armies is a very, very powerful thing to do. But I suppose...
can't you kind of achieve that with some other things, though?
Yeah, Scout Sentinels, and then all the Catachans.
Catachan.
So it's a little bit different to where if you have your opponent has infiltrating stuff that can lock you down, but most people have scouting stuff that'll lock you down. So there is that. That's a good shout, Paul. But yeah, less Death Corps than I expect. Less Gaunt's Ghost than I expected, but pretty much everything else here is pretty much bang on. Actually, probably less Kassakin than I expected as well. I think Kassakin are still quite good at their points, even if they have somewhat been
Yeah, like,
superseded by
I
science.
agree. I agree. I think you want to see, or sorry, you might expect to see them at least represented in more than 2 lists.
Yeah. How many units do we think are in Astra Militarum?
73.
So
76.
58.
So we have 24 different units taken here in multitudes. So that would say that would allude, and this is one of the reasons we do these exercises. That would allude to at least a third of the guard index, if your number is correct, Paul, being playable, and that's good. That's good, right? A third of 70 whatever data sheets being playable is actually an extremely.
Oh, don't
good
take that as
return.
a like. I do think it's a lot, right? But it's and that may be it. It may be up there, right? It's a lot.
Fair.
The
Well,
index
while
stack is like this deep, you know. With
So how many pages? Let's go. How many pages in the Astra Militarum Index? We have 128 pages, and then we can probably take 5 off the front for a bit of fluff, enhancements, stuff like that. So 123, and then a couple off the back for points. So legitimately, you look at you're still looking at over 100 data sheets.
it's a bunch.
It is quite a bunch.
But actually, that's one of the reasons it's kind of hard to spot a. So let's like go back at this. So demons have a bunch of things too. So it gets, as the meta gets more and more solved, I think you'll find stronger demon and most likely Astra Militarum list. And where maybe the Astra Militarum are shining strong here, they are good. They're very good, but maybe the terrain's playing a factor at this event.
Yeah, for sure. We're not quite sure. Maybe Steve can let us know what level of terrain they'll be playing at this,
or what terrain style they're playing.
Yeah, indeed. What terrain format? Yeah, seriously. So you take off two pages at the back for armory, and then how many at the front? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Take off 6 at the front. So you're taking off 8. So it's 120 data sheets, and of course, 9 of those are different Bane hammer, spanner, wiggity whack, wrench, Bane blade chassis.
Well, some of them have both sheets on it, right? So you're probably looking at 75. That's what it is.
He already guessed it.
Lock it down.
Miles to London.
Yep. Right. All right. Let us pick some winners, gents. Dustin, you want to go first?
Oh, geez.
This is a crapshoot. I mean, one of us has to pick Steve.
Oh,
right?
No. Bring it home, Steve.
Oh,
yeah. Paul, you going Steve?
That's fair.
I'm just going to write in Steve for Paul. Actually, I'm going to write in Steve for all of us.
All right, yeah.
Yep.
We're all taking Steve.
You just got to get on the podium and we all win.
Steve is first pick for everybody, and if Steve gets third place, we all get a point. But then there's our pick.
Okay.
So, Paul, what would you like?
Oh, past that?
Yeah.
Let's see. I will go with Blood Angels.
Good choice. 7 players in attendance, not bad. Dustin went first last time, so I'm going to pick the guard because there's 9 of them. What would you like, Dustin?
You're taking away my choices here. You know what? There's a lot of Tyranids. We'll go Tyranids.
Yeah, good choice too.
If you want to see how we did with our predictions, is also see who won, and we run down some of the best list over the course of the weekend. Maybe consider subscribing to us on Patreon. Tier 2 and above gets that bonus show, plus that content. Plus you get to, we talk about, of course, what won and score our own points and kind of have a go at each other, in the way that we do is see how close we got. But we also look at some of the lists that are emerging that we think are doing really well, that may be kind of making their way into the meta to be dominant forces, and see how players did. It's a fun time. Consider that if it's right for you. If the Patreon is not the best thing for you right now, don't forget to leave some comments and hit the thumbs up and leave us 5-star reviews everywhere that you hear us and see us, because that is one way that the algorithm gets kind of tricked into letting other people come and hang out with us. And we got amazing chats that we've had over the course of this broadcast. But listen, we ain't done yet. We have a segment that a little palate cleanser here at the end of the show. We call this the Fuego Rapido. Sometimes this segment has very little to do with Warhammer 40,000. Low on 40,000, high on theme. Most of the time is what we try to do. But it's a way to kind of kick back and chill at the end of the night, at the end of this conversation, this journey, and decompress after we talk about the stats and the numbers and everything else. We bring up a series of topics, give ourselves a clock for each topic, 2 minutes for each topic. At the end of that 2 minutes, we abandoned it, never to return to it again, unless demanded by the Patreon. See how important that is to us, as it takes a lot of work to put this show together. But without further ado, do we have a theme? See, the important questions of the universe.
You can
Nice.
tell
I don't
how
know.
important they're going to be.
Is it better when you just have to guess the theme? You know
what? We can do that. We can just guess the theme at the end. I like
Oh,
that.
no.
I like
No,
it.
it's fine.
I like it. All right, first up we have, should toilet paper be hung over or under?
Definitely over. I think in the patent for it,
Yeah.
it's over.
There's a patent
So-
for toilet paper that you have to... Really?
Yeah. For the original toilet roll patent, there it clearly denoted it's supposed to be over. We have a fight in my house that it's a silent battle. It's the Cold War. Anytime my partner replaces the toilet roll, it's under. Anytime I do it, it's over.
Isn't it
And-
something like where if you have a pet, it's like your cat, that you want it going the other way? You want it
I think
under?
you want it under. You want it under.
Oh,
If you have
that
a
makes sense,
cat.
actually.
Yeah, because the cat will just like, and then it's hell on earth.
Well, we actually have a similar battle that went on in our house for a while, but I kept getting it wrong. And I swear that I've done it different ways. So now when I change it, I just leave it on top of it. I don't even put it in the roll anymore. I just sit it on top. There you go. It's
wow.
here.
Yeah. Silent protest. Love it.
It's definitely over.
This is,
Like
Yeah,
if
it's
I'm ever
definitely
at
over.
your place hanging out and I see it under, I'm like, I'm not judging, because live and let live.
oh, you are
but,
judging? Are you going to fix it?
I'm definitely thinking about it. I'm like, oh, I wonder what on here,
when it's sitting on there, you know exactly what happened. But I went to change it. They're like, no, I'm not doing this.
I am
This family's in turmoil.
I am 100% in with Dorian here. Bidet all the way. If just treat yourself.
I have never actually used a bidet before.
It's a game changer, brother.
Really? You have a bidet in your house?
You just step off the
Who
throne
doesn't?
feeling refreshed,
not?
ready for the day. I do not have a bidet in my home. No, because I'm in a rental and I'm not
I
paying
have a
several
squeezed water
$1,000s
bottle I
to put a
keep next to the
bidet in
toilet.
someone else's home.
Yeah, just like the hose up to the faucet.
No, that works.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? Maybe too much pressure. All right. Fuego. Next one. What drinks need to be drunk with a straw?
So, when I'm in America, just about everything I drink with a straw because everything has like
You
a
do beer?
a full cup of ice in it.
I guess
I
that's
don't.
They
drink
do
beer.
put a
I
lot of
don't
ice in
drink
the drinks a lot.
everything has like an inch and a half of ice in it, and you just like this just smacking you in the teeth, in the nose. And so yeah, straws for the win.
Milkshakes, I think. Yeah, milkshake, exactly, Joel.
Milkshake is correct. Yeah.
Milkshake, I think, is probably the only thing. I don't
only
typically use a straw. It's hard.
Even
It's
for,
hard
like-
to look cool drinking out of a straw.
It is.
can't.
It
You
is.
can't look cool.
No, you
with a
can't.
straw.
You can't.
That's really not the main consideration.
I've
but
definitely seen people try to look cool. They do it in like movies and stuff where they say something cool and then or, like
Yeah,
using
yeah.
air quotes
No,
before
and
you-
then
You're trying to look. Yeah. You're trying to look suave at a bar.
Yeah.
You're dressed up nice, leaning against the bar, and then you're like,
no, it's like especially like a little
You're
cocktail
sipping-
straw.
You're
you know,
sipping your rum and coke out of a little straw.
out of its little straw. Yeah. Cans. Anything. I loathe drinking out of cans.
Really?
Um,
Because you would
yeah,
use
I
straws
just-
out of cans. You're one of those
I'd,
people.
yeah.
Okay.
I'd-
What
I'd
kind of
rather have
what
a straw.
straw is your go-to, Adam? What kind of straw?
The ones that don't disintegrate in three
So
freaking
not
No,
paper
it's
seconds.
ones.
it's got one with all the loops in it.
You
so
get
you
the
like
little
Yeah,
ones, the
yeah.
colorful
I mean,
loops.
look,
Yeah.
we all secretly love loop straws. right.
A little paper strawberry on it that's like a xylophone when you rip it off. Yeah, baby. I remember some Christmases.
All that talk about looking cool. Is there anybody on this broadcast or in the chat that would not drink out of a loop straw? Like if you give
Yeah,
them the
that's true.
opportunity.
Come on. Put your hands up if you would not drink out of a loop straw. Come on. There's no way anybody was like, no, I'm not doing that. That's ridiculous. It's just.
I
it's
reckon. I reckon that's the next level. When you're trying to look suave and you don't want to drink, but then you bring your own straw and you're just like, it's a giant loop-de-loop straw and you just put it in
Yeah.
your
fun.
drink.
You pull it.
That's
You're
about the only way I'm drinking out of a straw. I should say I
Yeah.
don't like avoid it. I just like if there's sometimes you have to, right? like a high C pouch or something.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to drink out of a straw.
Fuego. Next one. Is water wet? This is more complicated than it seems. See?
Explain. Why is this a question?
Well, being wet. What is being wet? Is it because you have water on you? So is water actually wet itself?
Is there any way to answer this question?
I don't know. Is your brain getting completely blank? Because maybe it's one of those 100-year-old riddles that's supposed to clear your mind of all conscious thought.
Okay, so if water isn't wet, wetness doesn't exist. And I can tell you that wetness does exist, so therefore water is wet.
Try that again.
Okay. When you are in the shower, are you wet?
In the shower, like getting showered on?
No, having a picnic, mate. No, I'm getting showered.
Well, I'd have picnics in the shower. That's not a ridiculous statement. Come on.
I've done weirder things in showers. So, is wet the result of water, or is water wet? Is the question here.
This is the chicken and the egg kind of thing here.
I'm interested to see in the YouTube analytics the nosedive our viewership took during this question.
So, if fire is hot, is water wet? I think the answer is yes. Yes, it is.
Is heat the same thing as like being on fire though?
It's a state, right?
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Hot, wet, spicy.
So, all right.
Water in its liquid state is wet, and is also the.
If we want to take this to the nth level of silliness, are the molecules that make up water wet?
That's a big no.
No. So therefore,
we're out of
water...
time. Look, you got to stop it. We're out of time.
It's over. It's over.
Rules.
We figured it out. We solved it for sure. We solved that one.
We did something.
We did something
for 2 minutes.
Should the work week only be 4 days?
Why stop at 4?
Yes.
I mean, like, why call it 4? Why should the work week be 3 days?
I would happily work 3 12-hour days. I would very happily work 3 12-hour days.
There are definitely jobs
have
that
2
you do
days
that,
completely
like
free.
those kind of shift works, right?
Yeah.
Same. I do think, that a 4-day work week would be great.
It's funny, yeah. In my life at the moment, I want to work I would rather work harder on the days that I work and then not work at all. In my retirement, I don't ever intend to retire. I intend to work because I enjoy working and find something altruistic and brings me joy. But I want to work like 3 hours a day. I want to work like 3 hours a day in my retirement. Like start at 9, knock off at midday. That's what I want my retirement to be. Like, yeah, have full afternoons, nap every day, go sit on the beach, shit like that. But yeah, 4-day work week has been shown so far to work, to actually be just as productive, if not more.
A work-life balance is more achievable when more people believe it and realize that they are the actual power.
Well, are you worried that there'd be a lot of places or a lot of jobs that people would kind of, well, they wouldn't be as encouraged?
Well, I think
hard,
the company is entitled, if they are compensating you, to expect whatever objectives they want accomplished.
That's fair.
Yep.
And if you can accomplish that in 4 days, then do it. If somebody needs 5 days to do it, then I guess what? That maybe 5 days.
I'm for full equity workplaces. Like if I can go to work and do the workload required of me on my contracted work in 4 hours, I should be done for the day.
Oh yeah, no, I
shouldn't have to
fully endorse that.
Yeah.
I think you're exactly on there. If you are performing exactly what you're intended to do in a short amount of time, then that should be the end of your workday. Like I'm down with that. I'm definitely down with that.
Fuego.
Is it better to be a superhero or a supervillain?
Villain.
That was my immediate thought too.
So much more fun.
Don't always think they're the villains.
They rarely think they're the villains.
Yeah, there's very few.
That's kind of the reason that it's better to be a supervillain, because then you're not bound by all these rules that superheroes are going to have, right? In order to be a good guy, you have to follow a lot of rules.
Yeah,
but if you're a superhero, I think superhero, because you could do you don't have to worry about like when you do what you want to do.
Don't you though? As a superhero,
When you're a superhero,
is it
or on the super villainy side?
And no capes.
no capes?
Oh, no capes.
We've
Yeah,
no
definitely figured
capes.
that out. I think.
Yeah, we
Incredibles
figured that out.
Made that very clear. No capes.
I may be past my spandex prime as well, so it may be like,
me too.
You gotta
Yeah.
rock the spandex. There's no way you don't. I rock spandex at a time that I really shouldn't have. I tried to be the Silver Surfer. I ended up being the Silver Boogie Boarder because it was just.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's also
So we got-
a very fun Halloween.
So we got 2 for supervillain and Paul's for superhero.
Superhero.
Is that
yeah.
correct? Fair.
Really?
Fair.
But it's not just because of the costume, though.
Who's a supervillain that actually like calls himself a supervillain? Like even Apocalypse does not consider themselves to be a villain.
That's
a great question.
Who is a supervillain
probably
that
the
actually
Joker.
Oh
I mean,
yeah. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Joker's pretty much.
Yep.
I might like, yeah.
We double solved that one for sure. That was a perfect answer. Definitely the Joker. All right, and since we enjoyed it last week, we're doing it again this week. We're doing a meme theme. So 2-minute countdown based on a meme that is a very popular meme. This week, it's from the Spider-Man,
Bonesaw.
the first Spider-Man movie with Bonesaw. You're going nowhere. We've got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime. That's the meme.
So wait, what are we supposed to do?
Come up with memes that go with this meme. The actual situation that go with this meme. But Eddie?
Oh.
Speaking of the 4-day work week, it's going to be
All right.
4:57 on Friday. Your boss.
Trying to change your oldest son's tire, and he this is the first time he's ever done it before.
That seems like it was an actual life experience.
Look, we draw inspiration from many sources.
Yeah, Wolf Jail.
Yeah, this is so. I was about to say Wolf Jail. Bonesaw's playing Wolves. He just rolled to go first versus like Tau. I got you 2 minutes of playtime.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. Yeah, when I'm rolling, my Death Company hits. It's
Yeah, definitely. When you fail to kill witches in combat.
Yeah. Of course, there are, the possibly on the nose interactions some may have with their first partners.
You just couldn't help yourself.
Sorry, I had to. I had to. It's too good.
We can keep them in Warhammer theme too, because there's a lot of them that go with it.
It is. It is Horus versus Sanguinius. That is pretty accurate. I know, and it's Sanguinius saying this to Horus.
oh no, there we go.
He's like, I got you. I got you right where I want you.
That'll be Sanguinius.
You roll forward, and you're trying to fall back from Black Templar.
Yes. Yep. Denied. What else? I've got some ones from previous editions.
Sure.
When
charged by Angron.
Look out, sirs.
It's gonna be like 2 seconds.
Yeah. When they failed to cast invisibility on their Death Star.
Yes.
Oh
yes. That's a good
my
one.
window. My window is open.
That's
it's
a good
playtime.
one. I like that one.
That may be the best one.
I think
That was always just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. We can end on that one. That was good. Good job. And that's it.
All right. That is fun. That is fun. I like doing that, Dustin. Thank you for adding that.
That is our show.
As long as I keep running, we don't run out of memes in the world, which I'm pretty sure we're not going to run out of.
If this world is good at anything, it is.
It's true.
Basically, it may be what we are grand champion of the galaxy at right now.
If you are a patron or want to become a patron, I think we should open a new chat with meme submissions.
There we go.
Which memes to use on that.
Perfect.
Segment. I think that's
Perfect.
a great idea.
And the Discord, you mean like you can do that in tier 1?
Yep.
Patreon, I think.
Yeah.
That saves me
sure.
work too. I love it.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. I'm like, let's unburden and also make it fun.
What a show. We had those 2 great events. Good luck if you're playing in those events this weekend. If you're coming up in a big event, you're playing in a big event in the future, let us know if you are a subscriber, where you're playing, and we may feature that event or your list on this show. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Basically interact with the buttons that are right there on the screen that you're enjoying this I should say listening. Just I don't even want to qualify it with how you're listening to it, but if you're somehow interacting with it right there, click one of those buttons. It means a lot to us. That's it for this week. We'll be back next week and each and every Thursday we possibly can to talk about the biggest and best Warhammer 40,000 events coming up over the course of the weekend. It has been a pleasure. See you next week, everybody.
See you next week.
See you guys.